You are in for a real treat. This episode was originally recorded for my other podcast, but for you, it's been upgraded and transformed, and now you have the Ask the Pro show. So everything mentioned in this episode will now be found on chrisdufay.com, plus so much more, as I've designed the Ask the Pro podcast and chrisdufay.com to give you exactly what you need to grow your business success and for you to have the money, the freedom, and the happiness you want, making a bigger and better impact to the world unselfishly. So now it's time to delve straight into this episode, and I want you to lap up and enjoy every single second of it. The rock star himself, Taki, thank you so much for coming onto the Turning Pro Academy. I'm pumped to get you here because I actually got to meet you, it was a few weeks ago or months, I don't know when it was, in Manly, and I got to see a presentation you did. I don't think you were wearing shoes. Were you wearing shoes when you were presenting?
No,
okay.
I'm not wearing shoes now either. I don't.
One reason why I was like, I like this guy, he's good, but also your presentation was absolutely phenomenal. So big tip of the cap on that.
Yeah, he's smart, but he looks homeless. What's that all about?
Exactly right. So Tux, can't call you Tux.
Totally.
What else can I call you?
No, Tux is what my mates call me. So you've kind of just jumped to mateship.
Oh, so okay. Well, this is serious now. Okay, Tux, I don't give an introduction into the guest. I want to leave it to you because I want to know who you are and why you're so phenomenal.
Oh, nothing like an opportunity to talk yourself up. How do I just do this in a really straight way? Who I am? I'm a dude. I live in Sydney. I've got 6 kids and I'm 38. The oldest kid is 26. So if you do some freaky maths, I was really popular in year 10. I run a business helping coaches, mostly business coaches, to automate their marketing, to scale up the way they sell, and to build a leverage business. And I know that most of the people listening to Turning Pro are trainers and personal trainers. And so there's just a heap of crossover between the way that PTs are taught to run their business and the way that coaches are taught to run theirs. Yep. That looks like great advice, but the more successful you are at the traditional model, the worse it gets. So I know that's not really who I am, but what I am is I'm really useful for people who want to stop doing the one-on-one, get out of the one-on-one trap and start to build something that's really scalable that lets them to help hundreds or thousands of people instead of a dozen or so.
Awesome. Okay, so this is fantastic. Now, going back to it, you're 38 with 6 kids.
Yep.
That's phenomenal. I love that.
I know. Okay. It's bananas. The secret is an incredible wife and a really good nanny.
Yeah. Kudos that one. Okay. I actually meshed with that. Before going any further, I meshed with that. My parents were 17 when they had me. I'm 28 right now as of a couple of weeks ago, and I have one daughter. And you know what? I like the idea of getting a little small soccer team together. So I want to keep that going. Maybe I can push to the 6 or beyond mark.
I don't know. I think there's, when you start to kind of stare Taragoville in the face, you go, yeah, I don't know if I could do this. So, we didn't do that Tarago thing. I was.
How do you transport them, Taki? Seriously.
Well, we've got 3 big ones who pretty much, 2 of them have moved out and one of them's with us about 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And so it's really 3 littlies that we've got now, 14, 6 and 5. And so it's more like two sets of 3, really.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Firstly, I want to tip the cap. I think fatherhood's the best thing in the world, and you're doing a great job at it. So let's go in, because I think the coaches and trainers listening are going to be frothing at the mouth with what we can cover here. Before we actually delve into the couple of questions I sent through to you before, Tux, because we're mates now, what do you find is the problems coaches are facing with their businesses? Like, what's the common theme or thread that you're like, oh, here we go?
Yeah, well, there's 2 big ones. And I don't know if it's the same with trainers. I'm sure you'll be able to kind of comment. But I don't know if you know this. 81% of coaches never make it past year 3.
Wow.
Which is terrifying. Right? It's just a terrible stat. They start off really excited. They learn the stuff. They've got amazing toolkit of great skills that can help people out. And yet 3 years later, 81% of them aren't around anymore. And so you've got to ask yourself, so what happens to these dudes? Well, it's really 2 things that happen. Most of them I'm really sorry to say, go broke. They just can't make enough money, and they end up having to go, well, maybe everyone else was right. Maybe I wasn't born for this or whatever, and they go back and get a job, and that's awful.
Yeah.
But that's problem number one. Problem number two is the guys that do make it and get quote unquote successful have this problem where the model that they bought into is unscalable, and so the more clients they have, the less, the more time they've committed to, the less time they've got, and so they hit this ceiling where they, I kind of measure people's success in three areas: income, impact, independence.
Nice.
Money, meaning, freedom. And so, if you're successful as a coach, and I'm sure this is the same as a trainer, the more successful you get, well, certainly you make more money up to a point, but you hit a ceiling where you can't make any more money because, unless you dramatically, increase your rates, you're kind of coaching as many people as you can.
Yep.
In terms of the impact you can make, or, the average coach works with, I don't know, half a dozen or 20 maybe clients.
Yep.
I don't know what it's like in PT world, but like a handful of guys, and you make an incredible difference, like a complete transformation with a small number of people. But what if you're put on the planet to help hundreds or thousands, And then when it comes to, or millions, right? Thanks for thinking big. Money, meaning, and the third one's freedom. Most of them build it, because of the business model that we buy into.
Yep.
We end up running a business where, if you're a PT, you're up at 5 or whatever the number is, and you go through, and your days are packed. And if you're not servicing a client, if you take a week off, that week you don't earn money, and so you end up kind of a little bit trapped in terms of your freedom. So, when I saw that firsthand, when I started, there was nowhere near enough money, nowhere near. I was helping a few people, but not nearly on the scale I wanted to, and certainly not having the freedom I wanted. I got 6 kids. Ethan, my 14-year-old, he's amazing. He's got cerebral palsy and epilepsy and autism, and he's got heaps of physical challenges. And sometimes we've just got to drop everything and run to hospital and live there for 10 weeks. I didn't want my business to stop and my family to die.
Yeah.
And so we've deliberately built a business that is scalable along those 3 areas. So now we make several millions of dollars a year. We get to help hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands, tens of thousands if we factor in our marketing. I'm not at millions yet, dude, but I'm working on it.
We'll get there. Clients.
And then in terms of freedom, me and my entourage of children, we have 4 months off a year traveling around the world, having a really good time exploring the planet. Awesome. And and clients get loved and looked after just as much when I'm there as when I'm not, and that's pretty awesome.
Okay, I think this is fantastic, and I'm so along the same lines because I've done it for years, PTing 60, 70. I think there was a couple of weeks where I got nearly to 80 hours of face-to-face work. Right. And it was just horrific. And even still.
Good money and really fun. And you go, wow, I did great work. But you're spent, man. Like, what are you going to do?
At the end of the week, it was like, okay, I did earn X amount, but I want to noose myself. So that wasn't worth it. So you kind of have to go from there.
The richest man in the noose is not where we're headed.
Exactly right. But you said a really good point that I love before is like the business model in which we buy into.
Yeah.
Do you think like people just don't think about this? Like, I know I didn't. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, if I charge $100 an hour and I see 20 clients or 20 hours of sessions, that's $2,000 in the bank, and at start it's like, oh, that's fantastic. But you know what if I want 40,000 a week? Do you know what I mean? Do I see? Yeah.
So most people come into this with the mindset of the practitioner, not as the business owner, and that's completely understandable. What do you want? Like when you become a coach or a trainer, what do you want? You want to help people in your own way. You want to kind of set your own hours and make more money than you did at your job. And I know that's a generalization, but for most of us, I want to make more money than I had at my job, but I want to do it for myself because my old boss was an idiot.
Yep.
And so we typically don't think it through. And I said, the model that we bought into, it's not like anyone deliberately, there's not like, a secret guild of people who are deliberately trying to ruin the lives of coaches and personal trainers. Nobody's like, let's teach them this wrong way. Nobody's doing that. It's just that either you buy a franchise or a license to operate a certain way and you do the way you're taught, or you do your coach or PT training and you just look around you and plus or minus 10%, everybody does it about the same. And so,
fall into it.
Yeah, you fall into it. You just kind of model the best practice, which tends to be actually
pretty average.
The problem, not the solution. Yeah, exactly.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a split with so much more for you. Now, I know you're listening and tuning in because you know how important your health is and how this can also catapult your business. This is why I'm very happy to say that this podcast is sponsored by My Body Blends and my favorite, the Superfood Elixir, the powerful greens drink. Now, this is designed specially to boost energy, aids detoxification, enhances the ability to burn fat, supports healthy carbohydrate metabolism, and best of all, is voted best tasting greens drink. Now, myself and the My Body Blends team are looking for ambassadors to join, so you and your clients get the health benefits plus adding in a strong income stream for you and your business. The ambassador program, which is by application only, means you get exclusive access to sell My Body Blends products like Superfood Elixir to your clients, plus giving you the special ambassador pricing and bonuses. So once you become an ambassador, you can join the other top health and fitness players that are adding thousands to their week's income. Now, there is only a limited number of ambassadors we are taking on board, as this is a tribe leading the way together. So to apply and to join, go to mybodyblend.com/ambassador or add the checkout code that is TurningPro, all one word, when you're going to get your own Superfood Elixir to order. Plus, you're going to get free shipping and a bonus to save yourself over $250 instantly. So just use that coupon code TurningPro in the checkout and you can save over $250 right now, all on mybodyblend.com. So what do you think are the biggest problems being faced with the way people are marketing themselves, or at least the lead generating or the conversion process?
Yeah. So I break if you kind of draw a triangle like a pyramid, three sides. The top left-hand side is how we attract, generate the leads and warm people up ready to buy. The right-hand side is how we convert, and the bottom, the base part, is the way we deliver. And so I think if you think about the way we're taught to attract and convert and deliver, you'll notice that the way that we learn to do this is actually the problem, not the solution. So if we think about the way we attract right now, for most of us, it's certainly for coaches, it's manual prospecting. PTs, maybe it's the same. We network, or I don't know what trainers do. They hand out flyers and they stand stupidly at shopping malls trying to give away tickets to this. I don't know what they do. I've got a Fitness First near where I live, and they're doing that all the time. I'm like, dudes, come on. Anyway,
the one down at Motorvale. That's where I used to work for 10 years. Taki.
Okay, so that was you handing out flyers. It was fantastic. So what do? Like coaches that they knock on doors, or they cold call, or they network and they collect cards and they follow up, or they speak and they collect cards and they follow up. It's really manual. Yeah. When it comes to the way we sell, it's one-on-one sessions, and so we do a diagnostic or a strategy session, whatever you call it. The one-on-one session where the initial consultation.
Yep.
And you talk to a potential client, and at the end of the hour or whatever it is, maybe you sign one client, maybe you don't, but it's manual. And then when it comes to delivery, the delivery itself is manual too. It's time for money. So if you think about how we're taught to market, attract and convert and deliver, the two things that they've all got in common is that they involve your time and your effort, and you don't have, but both of those are capped. You've only got so much energy, and there's only so much time in a day. The end result is the burnout or go broke deal that we talked about before. So let's talk a little bit, if it's cool, about an alternative.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it.
All right. So just really quickly, if you're looking at the same triangle that we talked about before, attract, convert, deliver, the old way is on attract, it's annual prospecting. On convert, it's selling onesie twosie. And on deliver, it's time for money coaching or time for money training in your world. Well, what's the flip side? If that's version 1.0 and it's dependent on your time and your effort and you burn out or you go broke, well, then the new way's got to be different, right? So on the attract side, instead of manual prospecting, what if we could automate the marketing? And so what that means specifically in our world is a lead generation system, usually online, but offline is okay too. By online, I mean kind of on the internet, and offline, I mean in the physical world. But yeah, usually a lead generation system that gets people to raise their hand and contact you and then an automated system that educates and nurtures people, kind of warms them up to the point where, on a scale from 1 to 10 in terms of how likely they are to kind of sign up and give you money, they're an 8 or a 9 or a 10. So you only have to talk to 8s, 9s, and 10s now and not have to deal with tie kickers anymore. Yeah?
Yep.
On the convert side of things, well, instead of one-on-one sales appointments, which, by the way, in terms of conversion rate are really good, but they're just they're painful. What if we could run something that's one-to-many? So it's, in my world, that looks like a webinar or a live event.
Yep.
That teaches people great stuff, and at the end of it has people go, wow, that was amazing, but you know what, Chris, I want more. And go, whatever your next step is, here's my money and I'm joining it.
Done.
Okay, so we can spend the same hour and maybe get 20 clients or 30 clients or 50 clients. I think my first one, I got 47 new clients in 70 minutes, and I was completely gobsmacked. Had no idea how
good is that? That's killer.
It was amazing. It's completely ridiculous. So selling one-to-many is the alternative on the conversion piece. And then delivery-wise, what if there was a way to create a leveraged delivery model? And I think to be successful at this, we need 3 things to happen. Number one, and by the way, if this piece is heresy and you're a trainer listening to this and one-on-one's the only way you work, it's completely okay to ignore the next 25 seconds. That's okay. I won't be upset. But I wanted to find a way that I could do 3 things in terms of delivery itself. How do I get clients the same kind of results that they'd get if they work with me one-on-one personally? Like otherwise, why the hell are we bothering, right? I just don't want to sell crap in a box. I want to help people win. But now that I'm helping people win in a group way, is there a way to do that in a way that gives me the kind of cash I'm really worth, not just the kind of cash I've been earning? Mm-hmm. And number 2, do it in a way that sets me free instead of sets me up to kind of neck myself at the end of the week. Yeah? Exactly. So if you think about, well, what has to happen to attract like that in an automated fashion and warm people up? What has to happen to convert like that in a one-to-many model, a live event or a webinar or a video series? Yep. And then what has to happen to be able to deliver to a group in that way? Well, I think you need 2 things. And this is certainly true in the coach world. And it'd be interesting to check in and see how this works in your space. Yeah, yeah. But at least in my world, the 2 things that we need, if the old way is built on time and effort, yes, the new way seems to be built around the right systems and the right IP or intellectual property. Some content. So if we're going to market, we need something to market. That's the content or the message, and we need an automated way to deliver that stuff. If we're going to sell with a webinar, for example, we need a system for doing that. Some technology perhaps, and then we need something to say. And then when it comes to delivering a group coaching program, same.
I think everyone needs to rewind that, listen to that whole thing again. And I love the whole onesie twosie because it's so correct. That's just hit the nail massively on the head. So it's obviously... I do speak fast.
I'm really sorry about that.
No, it's fantastic. It's why we're on a podcast. They can slow it down. They can rewind it. It's what it's all about. It's technology. Okay, so now you are a genius when it comes to frameworks. And I hope people actually picked up on that when you were talking about, say, with a triangle, just to start off with. Yeah. What do you think are a couple of other key frameworks that coaches and trainers need to start thinking about, whether it's content marketing, whether it's the delivery portion, whatever you think, like what do you think is a finger in the eye technique to get great results fast?
What's a finger in the eye technique?
Like, okay, so if we're standing in front of each other and I want to put you down, like we're having a bit of a Barney, right? I could punch you, I could kick you, but what if I put my finger in your eye? You're going down, Tux. You're going down.
Frankly, if it even got close to that with you, I've seen your abs on this photo in front of me, I would just run. Then you probably outrun me, so I just get in the nearest cab and drive like mad. You're not getting into my eyes. If you're listening to this and you've got abs, I salute you. I don't have abs. 2014 was meant to be the year of the ab, and I screwed up somehow around pizzas and ice cream. So
there's nothing wrong with ice cream. It's my weakness.
Hazelnut affogatos are my
nice.
Choice. So good. Anyway, so you mentioned frameworks, right? Yeah. So it might be helpful just to do a quickie on, what is a framework and why does it even matter?
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So a framework is like a mental shortcut. It's like a system for something. So if you have to do something more than once, let's build a system for it so you don't have to think about it ever again.
Yes.
So you're right. Attract, convert, and deliver is a mental framework. And I'll let you kind of slice and dice your business into 3 parts. And anytime you divide something into smaller pieces, it's more manageable. So what are some good frameworks? Well, no matter how you market or how you deliver, one of the most important frameworks you'll ever learn is you've got to figure out how to have a conversation with a potential client that makes them want to buy stuff. Like that's 101 foundational. Yep. And so if you talk to 10 prospects, if you think about the last 10 people that you talk to who are potential clients, how many of them bought? And I can guarantee if it's 8 or 9 or 10, then A, your marketing's probably working great.
Yep.
B, you've got a framework for how to have the conversation well. So we consistently convert 94% of the people we talk to into clients. And part of that is because we're only talking to dudes who the marketing is warmed up. But the other part is that we've got a really killer 9-step framework for how to have a strategy session or a conversion conversation. So I think that's the first one that you need to nail. And then, what framework you use next is probably comes down to where's the biggest bottleneck in your biz? So if you look at that triangle we talked about a second ago, Chris, attract, convert, deliver, where's your biggest problem right now? Because if you've got a full, either a full gym or a full, appointment book for the week, and there's no more time, well, then learning marketing tricks and sales tricks isn't going to help you. You've got to figure out how to leverage delivery.
Good point.
So I'd look at, the next framework is how do I look at attract, convert, deliver and diagnose where's my biggest problem right now? So if you just look at your stuff and go, well, I'm too full, got to change the way we deliver to free up some time.
Yep.
Sorry, after you.
No, this is great because the next thing that I actually wanted to bring up and you're kind of leading down that is how can we start to look at the one-to-many delivery and what systemizations or what methods do you see work gangbusters for coaches with the one-to-many delivery?
Yeah, cool. So I'm really happy to talk, but I'm also conscious that I'm not a PT and I've never played one.
That's all right, and so, I'll help guide you, Tux. I'll hold your hand and we can stroll together through this. It's all right.
like walking through the daisies. That sounds beautiful. Just don't squeeze my hand too hard because you've got abs.
That's all right. Just give me a hazelnut affogato. I'll be all right.
Yeah. So when I think about leveraging delivery, I've got a couple of kind of, two different places I could start. And the first thing is let's get really clear about what clients are really buying. Because clients aren't buying, even though they pay for the sessions, they're not buying sessions from you.
Yep.
They're buying outcomes. They're buying abs and confidence, really, is what they're buying. Confidence and physical transformation. So if we look at what they really want, and what they really want is, in my case, to be abs. Dude, seriously, if you can work on these abs for me, I'd be stoked. If that's what they really want, then how can we build a program that is leverageable? In other words, it's either group delivery or it's pre-recorded and clients go through it at their own pace, if that's part of your world.
Yep.
That gets them the outcome they really, really want. And so if we were thinking about two different time frames, I know with my clients, there's two different time frames that tend to work really, really well for group delivery programs. Mm-hmm. One is short-term, 6 to 8 weeks. And one is long-term commitment, 12 months plus.
Awesome.
Yeah? And so if we went 6 to 8 weeks, all we do is we get a blank sheet of paper, and on the left-hand side of the paper, we draw a sad face.
Yep.
And on the right-hand side, we draw a happy face. And then we draw an arrow between the two. So let's just kind of quickly break this down. On the left-hand side, the sad face is problem. So all you want to do is go, what are the problems and frustrations, the fears and frustrations that my clients have right now? They beat themselves up because they eat too much pizza and ice cream. They don't have abs. They don't have the energy they used to have when they're in their 20s and now they're whatever. You're just going to list out the problems. And then you say, so if that's the problem, what's the promise? If I could help somebody get a real result in 8 weeks, say, and I don't know how long it takes to, but in my world, 8 weeks is good because it's specific result in a short period of time.
Yep.
So if we look at the problem and go for each piece of the problem, what's the opposite of that? What's the promise? So it's abs and it's energy and it's confidence and it's whatever. That would go under the happy face on the right-hand side, yeah?
Yep.
So then all we need to do is go, if that's the problem and that's the promise, then what's the process the arrow is the process. What are the steps? And if we had kind of 6 to 8 steps between, sad face and happy face, what would they be? And let's turn those into a class for each step with a little bit of content and some exercises and a chance to work with a coach.
Yep.
Yeah? So, for example, I've got guys who sell 8-week courses for, the average price is between $500 and $2,000.
Yep.
I've got dudes who sell an 8-week course for $8,000. I've got other dudes who sell an 8-week course for $4,000. It's got nothing to do with the deliverables. Just like it's got nothing to do, they don't buy sessions, they buy outcomes.
Yes.
So if you can get me a specific outcome in a short period of time, in a group format, there's actually benefits to that. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on your podcast, and if I say this, whether everyone's going to just hate me.
No one could hate
but you're probably going to hate me. So here's the deal. I actually stopped working with my PT at the end of last year because he moved to Melbourne.
Yep.
And I was looking for something to replace it with, and I joined CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's...
No,
do you hate me?
No,
okay?
I don't hate you at all. CrossFit,
fantastic.
I'd say this is... What I hate is people hating on things that it's just too, like...
Well, I wasn't sure. Like, you've got the biceps pro here, so I'm going to be nice. So here's the thing. I joined CrossFit, and it's group delivery, right?
Yep.
And there's parts of that which are awesome and parts of that which, obviously you've got to be careful of because there's technique and it's really important to do stuff right or you end up hurting yourself like lots of CrossFitters do.
Yep.
But if you think about what they've done really well, what they've done is CrossFit it's group delivery, so they can help more than one client at a time, and it's just regular recurring income. So that's good. There's heaps of benefit to, I don't have to go to a gym by myself and be bored lifting the same weights again and again because I don't know what to do. It's different every single time. So I've got heaps of variety. What else is cool? Well, I've got a tribe of dudes who are cheering me on, leading the way. And I've got a bunch of, like, they can do handstand push-ups and I can't. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
So I'm being stretched that way.
Yeah.
What's really cool, though, is they know that I actually think there's heaps of lessons from how this particular box operates. And they have an on-ramp course. It's like 3 weeks before you can join the normal classes. And it's set curriculum designed to get you from problem up promise with 8 specific steps, or 9 steps in this case, 3 classes a week for 3 weeks. It was genius.
It is genius. And it's so necessary when you think about the sad face to smiley face scenario.
Totally.
What has to happen to get them there? And that's exactly right.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So what we want to do is, if you are going to switch to a group delivery model, just recognize that even if you have like a long term, like I plan on being hopefully active in the gym for years and years.
Yep.
But having a short-term kickoff period makes it really easy. I know when to start. I know when that bit finishes, and there's specific steps to get me up to speed. So I'd be thinking about that as a really useful framework.
Yep.
Problem, promise, and process. Is that helpful?
No, it's perfect. You nailed it exactly the way I wanted it, and you put it into the context needed. I think tip of the cap on that one. I think that was really good.
Bam.
What parting advice do you have for the listener? Anything? What comes to mind where you're like, you know what, coaches, trainers, what do they just need a good kick up the arse with?
I think, I run a program called Black Belt, right? And it's about how do we attract, convert, deliver. What I don't say, but what it really is what I really sell is I sell certainty, same as you guys do.
Yep.
What you sell is you sell certainty. You sell this, the confidence that somebody has, conversion confidence, the belief that they have that they're going to get an outcome with you. So the first thing I want you to understand, like if I could just leave you with one thought, is just to uncouple price and deliverables once and for all in your head. So I don't care how many sessions they get or what the gym looks like or any of that.
Yep.
What they're really buying is an outcome. And so the price you can charge is, frankly, a completely separate conversation to what do you get for it.
Yeah.
Let me just give you one quick story from outside of both of our industries. There's this grumpy old marketing guy called Dan Kennedy, who's a genius.
Yeah.
And at one stage, he's consulting with a guy who's touring around America, running half-day seminars, teaching the people who own warehouses how to stop delivery men from stealing from their warehouse. That's a really niche topic, but if your store men or delivery men steal from your warehouse, it's really annoying and it costs you a bunch of money.
Yep.
It's called shrinkage. And so he's touring around America delivering half-day seminars.
That was just cold water.
That's right. Exactly. Sorry. That's all right, dude. I'm just going to glide right past that one. So he's touring around America doing these half-day workshops around the country for $500. And so it's $500 a seat and you learn the stuff. And so Dan says, so what do you actually teach them? And he says, well, there's 11 steps. And if you do these 11 steps, we can usually reduce your shrinkage down to, point whatever it is, a tiny amount.
Yeah.
And so Dan goes, so why are you charging $500? And then he didn't really have a good reason other than that's what half-day seminars were sort of, sold for on average.
Yeah.
Well, that's irrelevant. And so I want you to get in your idea that we're going to uncouple price and deliverable. And so what Dan got the guy to do was the guy ended up recording this is to show how old it was, a 20-minute audio cassette tape. Remember cassette tapes? Those little things where you wind them up with a pencil and spin it around?
Yes.
So the guy records a 20-minute audio cassette tape, and it's just got like a minute's worth of intro and then what the 11 steps are, and then it stops. And so he switches from selling half-day workshops, traveling around the country like a madman for $500 to 20-minute cassette tapes, and they're selling like hotcakes off his website. And he sells it for $3,000. And he goes back to report his success to Dan, and he's really proud, obviously, because, doesn't have to travel and everything's good. And Dan gets really shitty at him. He's like, well, it turns out that the audio cassette tape was his plan B. What he really wanted the guy to do was to get a 3x5 cut and write the 11 steps on it and sell that for $3,000.
That's even better.
It's awesome, mate. And so I just want, if you're listening to this, just realize that they're not paying for your sessions. They're not paying for your time. They're not paying for how good your gym is. They're paying for an outcome.
They're not paying for stuff. And I think there's a really good point you're bringing up, Taki, is people think they've just got to fill their programs or their sessions, and they've got to try and stuff, or it's not about that
at mental. All. No, it's not. So imagine everyone who comes to to you as a trainer is at the bottom of the mountain, and really, the outcome they want is to get to the top of whatever their mountain is with you.
Yes.
And so what we typically do is we go, great. So to add more value to our Get Up the Mountain program, we're going to give you this backpack with these CDs and the manual and the sexy shoes, or in my case, like in the coach world, it'd be, with the online course and the workbooks and we give them all this stuff to try to pad out the value.
Yeah.
And now you've got this poor dude who wants to get to the top of a mountain, but now he's got this huge backpack full of our stuff, and it actually makes it harder to get up the mountain, not easier. Yeah. So I want you to think about, how can I remove stuff and add value instead?
Yeah. Because if you can obviously get your client or customer to their result faster, it's even better and worth.
It's way better, completely. Especially today, like everyone's busy.
Yeah.
So do you remember that in that movie, Something About Mary?
Yeah.
He picks up the hitchhiker who's got this idea for 7-minute abs.
Yeah.
Right. What's he done? Well, 8-minute abs is too long, so he's got 7-minute abs. If we can get the result faster, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And we're happy to pay more, except 6-minute abs, because no one can even raise a sweat in 6 minutes.
You've done it before, you cheeky bugger. All right, Taki, now I asked 2 questions to wrap every guest up on this podcast. I just want you to just flick the answer straight off the top of that magical brain of yours. First one, what is your definition of happiness?
My first thought was a hazelnut affogato barefoot on a beach. What that really means is freedom to self-express and do your own thing.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Okay, fantastic. What are you grateful for today?
Grateful for my son, Ethan. I took him to the hospital yesterday. Yeah. He's got a NG tube, nasal gastric tube, a tube that goes down his nose into his tummy. Every few months we've got to change it. And he was really, really brave yesterday. And it was just, we had a day off. I wish we had had a fun day, but we went to hospital instead, and he just did really well.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So I asked those 2 questions just before I put everything together to start this, the Turning Pro Academy podcast. I was like, what 2 questions do I want to ask everyone from a completely selfish point of view? And they're there. So the listener, if you don't like me asking those questions, well,
too bad. It's part of the question. It's part of the deal.
It's my podcast.
That's right.
Fantastic. Now, Taki, I know the listener is going to be really wanting to know more about yourself, what you do, the intensives you run, the black belt, everything. Dish it up.
I'll make it really simple. The easiest way to learn cool stuff from me is just for free at www.coachmarketingmachine.com. That's got videos each week with how to kind of grow, how to market, attract, convert, deliver. You'll also find out about a weekly webinar that we run every Thursday morning called the $1 Million Coach, which is killer, and some info about events and stuff like that as well. But coachmarketingmachine.com is where the free stuff lives, and you'll get everything you need there except for photos of me without my shirt, because I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay, well, give me a couple of months and we can start posting those back.
I think we need like an 8-week program around abs.
Deal. All right, I'm going to put those links straight up into the show notes for the sites. Everyone can get straight on over there. Tarks, I've had an absolute ball of a time, mate. Thank you so much. I'm actually looking forward, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be seeing you in June in Sydney. So,
oh, cool. We're going to have a good time, dude. That, seriously, I bust a gut for every one of my events, but the $1 Million Coach, I think it's my best ever 2-day workshop. It's really killer. And so if you're coming, I haven't checked, but if you're coming, we're going to have a good time.
I want to come. Actually, no, I don't care if this is being recorded or not. I actually had to move one of my own seminars so I could make sure this is free for yours, and it actually just got approved. So I was like, yes, I can do it. So
I don't want to put this up too much, but I think you made the right call. It's going to be awesome.
I know it will be, but you know what? The worst thing about living in Bali is whenever you want to fly back to Australia, it's the midnight flight, and I want to just get that noose back out from the days before. But you know what? I'm going to happily do it. It's all good.
Yeah, flying a day early, get a bit of rest, and come ready to rock and roll on Saturday morning. We'll have a good time.
Done deal. Tarks,
all right, man.
Massive high five. Thank you, sir.
High five back. Take good care.
So now it's time for you to click on over to chrisdufay.com. That's chrisdufey.com to get all the guides and show notes. And if you are wanting the workshops where I walk you through how to build your online business, click on over to chrisdufay.com/start here. This is where I can give you the exact training guides and the workshops for exactly where you're at and the answers that you need. Now, every Friday I'm coming back to you with a new episode. So be sure to subscribe, and if you haven't already, you're going to be getting the world's best insights, the advice, and the answers to give you the business, the money, the freedom, and the success and happiness that you want. And I want to give you a huge muchas gracias for being here with me. And as always, get in touch with me via the site or via social, as Ask the Pro is about me giving you the answers that you need. So ask away.